Imagine you're walking on a glass bridge. This glass bridge is brand new. You're one of the first to walk on it. You're walking across a bridge, and all of a sudden you start hearing and seeing little hairline cracks. Those hairline cracks at first may be innocuous to a degree, but then you realize you're on a glass bridge above a canyon. That's significant. And now you're at the point now where that bridge is starting to crack, and to where that bridge may not carry traffic anymore. Well, we can compare this to where you are in your job, in your career. Let's say you're working and you feel exhausted every day, and you're really past the point of what's referred as burnout, where you're so tired you don't want to do anything extra, but on the other hand, you're not at the point either where you're going to be performing less or actually quiet quit. So you're really stuck there. This is where you start thinking, okay, why am I here? How did I get here? And how do I get out of here? That's where quiet cracking really starts. So you're running at full throttle, but you're working for zero growth, zero recognition, and zero meaning in a lot of cases. Let's now go ahead and talk about how you could address it and how to recognize it as well. How do you know you're actually at the point of quiet cracking? Typically, there's numerous red flags, but let's talk about 5 of these red flags. First is the dreaded Sunday evening, where you know your weekend's pretty much over and you have to get up in the morning and face the day. You have to face monotony. You got to face the thanklessness. You have to face, for example, as well, the dreaded social time with your employers. This is a big deal to a lot of people. Another potential red flag is you can't really recall a really positive day at work. It's been a while. However, you can certainly remember a lot of the challenges that have come up that made you feel uncomfortable. Another red flag could be you have mysterious symptoms where you have neck pain during the day or back pain, or you may get acid reflux when you didn't have it before. You could be feeling really tense, or that mysterious migraine headache pops up only between 9 and 5. These are things that can come up. And lastly, perhaps you may have issues around where you may be thinking of taking a sick day, which you never did before, just because you need to get out of that day. Another potential red flag could be where you're just thinking about lunch before you get to lunch and after you get to lunch. In other words, just figuring out where you're going to go hide out away from the office for as long as possible. When it comes to your health, it's really important you take it seriously. And you need to understand when you're in the fracture zone that there's probably going to be some symptoms. The first one is where you start experiencing what's called chronic emotional suppression. This is very common, especially when you get stressed out and you start feeling really tense, like, you just can't handle sitting there any longer. Or let's say you're sleeping and you grind your teeth all the time. You go to the dentist and they're saying you're starting to crack your teeth. That personally has happened to me before. Again, people handle stress differently. Also, too, hair loss can be an issue. Another thing that can come up is that you're becoming what is really referred to as psychologically unstable. This is where you start yelling at people, or you just start cutting people off, or you become less social. Those are some of the symptoms you got to really pay attention to. So why doesn't your boss, your supervisor, your team leader, tech lead, whoever's in your life at the job you do, really understand what's going on with you? Well, you have to understand that managers, bosses, even tech leads are tracking your performance. They're not tracking your mental health. They're not tracking, for example, how you feel. Most of them will say hi, but they're not actually going to be diving deep. And on the other hand, you may not want to tell them either. So one of the things that you have to be aware of is that you may get to a point where the cracks are too much for you to handle and you may just want to resign immediately. This is something that has happened before, and I personally can address that the last few years as well. When it comes to addressing quiet cracking in a positive manner, there's really 4 steps that we could do to really help come out of this as positively and easily as possible. We don't want to get stressed out anymore. We don't want to walk off the job and burn bridges if we don't have to either. And we want to make sure we feel better. We are healthier. The first step we should always consider is to start setting our boundaries, right? What do I mean by boundaries? Well, when we get home, don't open your emails, don't respond. Don't return calls if it's a client calling or your boss calling. Do that during your work time. It's important to realize you have to have boundaries. Step 2, what we could do as well is collect data. Well, what do I mean by collecting data? Write down every day how you feel. Write down good things and bad things that occurred every day at work. And keep track of it. Look for patterns. This can help you identify issues and also make a plan to avoid those issues later on. Now, the third step I would consider as well is talk to your manager. But don't frame it as I'm quiet cracking or I'm stressed out. Frame it as what could I do to do the job better, and then start working your way into how the job can be made easier for you, but also provide value for the employer. That's one thing I would definitely think about, is try to frame it to where you could add value, but also you can extract value as well, if you know what I mean. Okay, the last step you probably should do as well is find something else to do outside of work that you enjoy, right? Just go find the fuel to keep you going. Could be volunteering. It could be getting a new hobby. Whatever it is, consider one of those steps, or all of those steps for that matter, to help mitigate the concerns and challenges you have with quiet cracking. I hope this video has provided value to you and really helped you identify challenges around quiet cracking. If this video helped you, definitely hit the like button and also subscribe. I hope to see you in another video.